What's going on, world? Welcome to another episode of the Other Guys Podcast Reacts. Today we have a much sadder story about a young lady named Chelsea, who was, I think, by everybody's account, beautiful, young, early 30s. I think she was exactly 30. Very well educated with 3 degrees. I think she had a career as a lawyer. She also won, was it Miss USA or something like that? And sad case of suicide. And it's breaking news. So that's the topic for today.
Yeah.
Um, how do you want to? We want to share the details, Ishai?
Yeah, so she's 30 years old, of course, a beautiful woman, very accomplished in her career. Um, and she wrote some things down that I want to go over because we want to have I wanted to have this conversation and
Like
it's
a
really
suicide note?
no, not the suicide note. She
Oh,
wrote
okay,
an
No.
essay,
okay.
like way back, maybe like a year ago or something like that. And this is like it's endemic in our culture right now. What she went through, I don't know if it led to this, but she
Hmm.
left some really important points, some things behind that we can take from. It's really like what comes after the success, okay? Because just like I say, it's not just about her, um, and not, but it's about what she said specifically. But let's look at it for the wider group. So one thing she wrote, so she wrote an essay, and they didn't think about too much of it at the time, but they're saying, "Hey, looking back, maybe this could have been a cry for help." But this is some things that she wrote: loneliness, lonely craving for next reward. So she wrote, why earn more achievement just to collect another win? Why pursue another plaque or medal or line item on the resume if it's for vanity's sake rather than out of passion? Why work so hard to capture the dreams I've been taught by society to do when I continue only to find emptiness? Too often,
Mm.
I notice that the only people impressed by an accomplishment were those who wanted it for themselves. Meanwhile,
Mm.
Hmm.
I was rewarded with a lonely craving for the next reward. Some would see hunger and label it competitiveness. Others might call it unquenchable thirst of insecurity. So so that's something that she wrote, and that is really um, like so many of our ladies are told go out there, get a job, and get a career. That's what makes you. I wanted to show you guys something. So I wanted to spoil just the first question for the next, the next podcast that we do. So I want to ask you
Hmm.
guys if that'll be okay, because I wanted to show because it's not just for her. This is happening. This is everywhere. Is that cool for me to show you guys
Yeah, go
something
for it.
from? Okay, and it's only going to be the first one, and I think this one's important and it ties in. Just a moment. I'm gonna grab it here. Which you already know. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Here we go.
You scared of the dark over there, D? You all right?
It's a serious episode, Spoon. I'll
Uh,
need you and your damn jokes today.
it's a little too dark over there. I don't want you to get sad and it's a little melancholy
So,
Oh,
over there.
hey,
what's more important, education and career, or dating?
Definitely your career. For 100%. Yeah. Like at the end of the day, your career is what establishes who you are as a person. A relationship, you can't really get too much individuality from it.
you can't be an individual in a relationship, but you can in a career.
So,
Potentially.
so
But
she
the fact that
said
she said it was more important as a young lady is a little bit scary.
because in let's see, because she goes on. So this is the same mindset that Chelsea was talking about. So her career is what's most important, and it's who she said is who you are.
Hmm.
That's it. But what comes after the success? So if you peak out in your career, right? The highest you can get there. So Chelsea, she got there at 30 years old. She
Hmm.
hit it. What's next? After you have the success, if you make the money, what comes next? Okay, so the next thing is like, okay, uh, the most unhappy demographic. People have talked about this, and this is from the Psychology Today. The unhappiest profile: female, 42 years old, unmarried, no children. household income under 100,000. So it's everybody up to 100,000 in a professional position, a doctor,
Mm.
a lawyer. So
Hmm.
these can be people in the top 15% of women. They're talking about
Mm-hmm.
professional doctors, lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
people who are unmarried with no children. This is what
Mm-hmm.
in this interview we had with this random young lady in Dallas, and she's saying the same thing that
That's the
Chelsea
way
was
she's
talking
headed.
about that
Yeah.
was pushed on her. So it's endemic. It's not something that's small that just here or there, or it was just something that hit her. This is everywhere. This is, hey, go get a job, get your career, make sure to do this. Like we asked these ladies,
Yeah.
do you want to get married? Excitement. Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Oh, well, how old do you want to be? About 33, 34, 35. And one of the things that Chelsea mentioned as well was that felt like she was running out of time. Let me see if I can.
I think that mean the wall.
Yes,
Yeah.
that means the wall. And let's see. What
Probably mean out of time for having kids and other
Mm.
things like that. But so let me say this though. I listen to a lot of motivational stuff, and one of the things they talk a lot about is like the science of achievement, right, versus the art of fulfillment, right? So you have achievement, it's setting goals, knocking them out, setting new goals, doing the same thing, right? Some people are good at it, some people are not. But the most tragic cases we see are people who achieve big things, right, on big scales, right? Robin Williams is one of them, but then they don't get the fulfillment that comes from doing those things. It's like I'm successful, but I'm unhappy or I'm unfulfilled or I feel insignificant, right? And so I don't know what causes this,
Mm-hmm.
but I think that it's something that like you people assume. I think this is a just a false belief that held by many that once I get something, then I'll be
you'll be
happy,
happy. Yeah,
right? Like that's
Mm.
happiness is a byproduct of achieving.
you're
When
right.
in reality, that's not the case. Most people are happiest when they're in the process, they're pursuing, they're in the chase, they're in the hunt, type of a thing. And it seems to me that like whatever like she probably wasn't happy for a very long time, right? But she probably couldn't tell that to people because they were like, "You're young, you're beautiful, you're this, you're
You're
that.
you're
How are
Yeah.
Miss.
you not happy? You have everything that
Right.
I
She
don't."
she was
You
Miss
don't have
USA.
permission to be sad. You don't have permission to not like something.
And to be
You gotta like
fair,
everything.
that is how we treat celebrities. Like, don't nobody want to hear about a
Right.
celebrity's problems if they're ultra rich. And
Right.
she had I saw her apartment. She had a very nice apartment in New York.
Which
Like,
Yeah,
I
it
mean, in
probably.
fact, she was a celebrity. She was Miss USA,
Mm-hmm.
right? She had a lot of
And she was on
societal
TV
pressure.
too. Mm-hmm.
she
Yeah, she was
she
on
did
Mm-hmm.
TV.
interviews.
And
She was Denzel Washington, Taylor Swift. She's
Yep.
up there with the biggest of the bigs, biggest in the music, biggest in the entertainment industry. I think she worked for TMZ. Like, where do
Yep.
you what's after the success? And
Mm-hmm.
that's the big thing. So I was looking at let's see, here we go. Um, let's see. She said, here's another one right here. So let's do this.
Aging, society's treatment of older women, an essay. Well, I mean, so you
Yeah,
don't get to get older and keep the same, benefits.
for as much as we get talked about, right? As far as like the manosphere of men talking about age, ageism, and all this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
the pageants. So she had to move up because she was getting aged out of pageants. So she was
Makes
going up.
sense.
So you can only be, I think, 22, 23 for the local pageants. Then you have to go up. Then you have to move up. You have to keep going up. So she's getting aged out of pageants, and she might have been aged
Mm-hmm.
out of all of them. But by the time, I'm not 100% sure. I don't know how it works, but she says she wrote, each time I say I'm turning 30, I
I
cringe a little.
cringe. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I can successfully mask this uncomfortable response with excitement. Other times my enthusiasm feels hollow, like bad acting. Like I said, it's it's terrible. But we push this on the young ladies today. The young ladies today get this thing pushed on them. Listen, working with a corporation, a job that doesn't care anything about you, is the most important thing that you can do. That's where you get your
Mm-hmm.
identity from. She literally said it verbatim. You can probably go to what's that? And you can probably go down to the playbook for the people who write this stuff, and you can take exactly what she said. It was verbatim. Like, these are not like vague
Mm-hmm.
ideas that young ladies have, that people have today. Like, they believe their career. My question is this: for ladies out there is if you are not planning to finance to be the breadwinner to support your entire family, if that's not your goal in life, why
What
does
does
it
all this money matter?
what does all the money matter? What does it matter if
Mm-hmm.
it Kevin Samuel start asking the like I think like the best question to ask people honestly is um what does your social life look like at 51?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's
Mm-hmm.
no better question because if you ask the, hey, what is life going to look like whenever oh, I think I'm going to travel. I think I'm going to, I'm got my career. I'm going to be
They
here in my
Dora the
career.
Explorer.
That's what
Oh God, damn, that was funny.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. It is
Um,
crazy, but
yeah.
that's and so oh, and the other thing is they push ladies into careers, earn more. We hear a lot about the wage gap, earn more, earn more, earn more, right? And but the thing is, like for this young lady, she went to school to be a lawyer, and I think what's interesting too about this, you know, on this um on this thing here, the story they write in here that she was an accomplished attorney. She did go to law school. She was an attorney. She was only an attorney for 1 year because she said she hated it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, she went to school to become an attorney for the money. Her stepfather was an attorney. He encouraged her to go, and she said everyone
Mm-hmm.
in her life was telling her not to, but she did, and her stepfather was the only one who supported her. And to come to find out, her friends and family around her telling her not to do it. Everybody except her dad that they were telling her that maybe and I'm not 100% sure, but it felt like the interview that I was watching. It felt like she was saying that to like, hey, they wanted me to not do
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
because because she was a woman, right? You don't need to be an attorney. You don't need.
Well, what I heard was they said that the lifestyle in general is taxing, right? Like you
Uh,
have to absolutely love it because it's so taxing.
yeah,
And if you're not going to get into this because you absolutely enjoy it, then just don't do it. It's what I remember.
Hmm.
gotcha. That might be more accurate. But yeah, she pressed on. She went into it. She did it for a year and she stopped. And that's some expensive stuff. So I mean, like
Hmm.
$122,000 worth of debt to these
You know
people.
what? That's a good point. We didn't even think about that. Like,
Hmm.
just I think everybody, like, if they're at some point has like everyone has a number in their head where it's like I'm in so much debt. Just fuck it. Like I'm never gonna get rid of it.
But
So
you,
whether that means I'm just not gonna pay it or it's time to end it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and for law school, yeah, we're talking six
Yeah.
figures.
Yeah. I've definitely been like in a I'm not gonna pay it type situation before. Got through it. Got through it, man. They forgot all about it.
Uh
So
huh. Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
is that is
moved
that the
on. Paid some people
recommendation?
off, moved on.
Is that the recommended strategy?
I highly
No,
doubt that.
I do not recommend try not to get in that position. But over the alternative, I would rather just not pay somebody than
Hmm.
to
Yeah.
cause physical harm, but
But
it can
you
say
know what? Now that I'm thinking about it all out loud, right? So the father also said that like there was familial drama
right.
going on, right? But if you think about it though, really, we have a celebrity who's young, she's beautiful, but she's a celebrity, so we don't want to hear that. She has crippling amounts of debt. She's single, right? Like I'm almost like to me the picture is ultra rich, not rich, ultra beautiful, very well known. We don't want to hear you complain. Yet you have problems. You have things going on. No one's gonna listen to you. It's almost like when you paint the whole picture, are we shocked?
You know,
You know,
No,
that's a
no,
lot
no.
of pressure
Yeah,
for a young lady.
and you got a good point when you say that people don't listen to you if they can't like empathize with your position. When you say when they're kind of like, well, you got everything I could ever want. I wouldn't be
yeah,
sad if I were you. And people don't understand like the pressures because at the end of the day, it's all stuff, right? Everything is
Mm-hmm.
all just stuff and accomplishments and plaques on the wall, and it only means as much as it means to you during the process. So when it all comes, if somebody hurt your feelings and she got did wrong, none of that shit even matter. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like if She tries to open up somebody. Hey man, I just don't. I hate this, and like, why would you hate that? You're so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. What it is, and I think women get that a lot too, and I see other women do it, and it annoys me. And they'd be like, "Girl, you're too pretty to be this sad, or you're too pretty for him to do you." Like, I'm like, "Bitch, what?" Like,
Hey, I've never said that to a woman, but I've
right,
probably had that thought as a younger version of myself. Like she too pretty to be doing da 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 da.
right. But
Yeah.
no, it's. I mean, granted, yeah, does being pretty give you some perks in life? Sure, but
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure there's also, like I said, those pressures of nobody wanting to kind of listen to her, thinking she got it all figured out, and it seems like she had some kind of fear about aging, right? She didn't want to be
Oh
old.
yeah,
She kind of had
I
this
was
idea of like,
about to say that. Like
I don't want to
we
lose
all
this,
age. It's she just didn't know how to handle it.
right? And
Yeah.
then you think about it. I mean, you put in a position where pretty is like your prize it's like
Oh,
your claim to
you're getting
fame, right?
trophies for
Right, you're
pretty.
getting
So now pretty
trophies for
is fading. That's a
right,
good
and it's
point.
like,
That's a good
yeah.
Yeah.
point.
I talked
And I'm
to
sure it's cutthroat in there. I'm sure it's a cutthroat kind of industry. Like, oh no, oh, bitch, you got a wrinkle on your
oh,
face. Get out
You
of here.
were just that motherfucker 12
You were
months ago.
just we just declared you the finest motherfucker in the country.
yeah.
You're the
Hmm.
most beautiful.
Yeah,
But you know
persona
Hmm.
what?
non
We
grata.
moved
You
on.
got to get
You're
out of
you're
there.
now not the most.
Is that not? That's the same way we treat athletes, though, right?
Yeah,
Like
except
Gilbert Arenas was that guy, and then his knee blew out, and it was
yeah,
like we got to move on. We're going in a different direction.
Absolutely. And
nah,
I
for
want to
real.
tie this back in as well the um to the last podcast we did just a couple days ago. Now with the uh, strategic singlehood of black women, right? It comes
Hmm.
this when we look at the hold on, let me go ahead and pull this up because people are going to be like, hey, well,
I
where'd
mean,
you hear that? The most unhappy, so let's do that.
the
Let's
fact
do
that
it
this
right here.
ended this way says it was not strategic.
Yeah, no, it was. It's not. So here it is. The unhappiest profile, psychology today. So people, hey, where's the link? What did you say? This is where it is right here. This is the strategic singlehood of black women. Okay, this is the same website, mind you. Okay, so here we have where they're doing it all on purpose. People, they're pushing. They're going in here to get here, and this is what they're
Yeah.
promoting for them to become this.
Hey, I see a bad conflict in there because man, that's a tough position. You're a doctor and you're not in the six. You got a lot of debt to pay off and not a lot of income there.
Look at this. Yep.
That's
So let's go back up really quickly. Can you
that's
scroll
a
up?
problem.
So go back to the list. It was like the qualifications.
Oh, you like this one right here, or are you
No,
talking
no, the
about?
other one.
Or
Or I
you
guess
like?
it's
Oh,
down.
here.
Yeah, that one.
Come
There we
here.
Yeah.
go.
This one.
So check this out, bro. This is what I'm thinking. Like if you ask, not ask, if you look, I read somewhere that like the higher a woman's education is in general, the less likely she is to have kids. No, put it back on the screen.
Yeah,
Put
I'm
it back
seeing
because
it.
I need to see it.
Okay.
So I'm thinking of black women, right?
Hmm.
Who are putting their career first. So they're more likely to be unmarried and not have kids. They're shooting for a higher income, right? Although most don't pass 100,000, and they're looking to be professional women,
Hmm.
right? And so I guess what I'm saying is like I have a lot of friends who I personally know who are headed towards all of these demographics,
Right.
right? And they're young black women, and it's sad that like there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can tell them. They're gonna make the decisions that they want to make.
And they say it. What are you gonna do? I got to focus on my education first. I love
Mm-hmm.
to travel. My job is what gives me my purpose. That this gets you here. This strategic singlehood. And you know what? I think it is very strategic. Actually, I think this title is 100% honest. 100%. But I just
Mm-hmm.
don't think the black women themselves are the ones implementing the strategy.
Mm-hmm.
It's someone else pushing it down their throats. That lady doesn't look very black to me.
I
There's
mean,
someone
yeah,
else.
it's Bella. It's
Yeah,
Bella, dude,
yeah. Bella don't
obviously.
look black, but Bella is promoting this same website. So
Same
they
exact
tell you
website.
that this right here is either is there any there's no family in there. That's crazy. Huh. There's nothing about people. Except right down here at the bottom, community involvement. Maybe they'll go do a little bit of this. Oh, well, I donated. Maybe more like be a social justice warrior, and then that's it. Wait, hold on a sec. I think he actually hold the phone. I think they actually had it in here as well. Where is it at?
I do got a question for y'all though. That just
Hmm.
something that seems kind of contradictory to me.
Oh, here we go. Check that out. Boom.
Yeah, and
You
maybe it's because there may not be like a correlation between like suicide and happiness, right? It would appear that there should be, but uh, if women are tend to be unhappier than men, why do you think that suicide rates for men are so much higher than women's?
men are more action oriented. Like in taking the
We just do
initiative, and
shit.
women. I mean, I think I might be completely wrong. This is just from memory, but I think they try at similar rates. Men are just a lot more successful at it.
Yes. So I've actually looked this up quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
So there, and don't quote me on any of this. This is all rough. The people who are committing suicide most. Hold up. Let me reset. All right. The people who are committing suicide most in our country are like white men above the age of 70, right? I.e., they fought in wars, right? World War II, Vietnam War, all of that, right? And they Jesse's right. Isha's right. Isha's right. Cut that. We're gonna cut this part. Isha's right. They're usually more effective. They're using guns, right? Like you're guaranteed to end it that way. Whereas I feel as though women they're kind of, this is gonna sound sad to say, they kind of dabble in it. Like they kind of want to feel bad, but they're not necessarily committed to it because they try things that may or may not work, like poisoning, right?
Right.
It's just not as effective as bullets,
Yeah.
type of a thing. And so I think that the men who are doing it are probably in they're just in different positions. And I did look this up earlier. Marriage actually has no bearing. So whether you're single, married, divorced, separated, any of that has no bearing on a woman's suicide rate,
Mm-hmm.
right? But it has a divorced man or a separated man is twice as likely to commit suicide as a married man, right? So I think the pressures are just different.
Yeah.
I think women are catered to, right? When some society likes to run to women's side, and they don't necessarily give a fuck about men's emotions, men's problems, right? It even almost sounds silly to say I'm a men's rights advocate. I've heard that phrase before. It's not a really popular one, but it almost sounds
You just
silly because you're like, what are men's right or what are men's issues? You really have to dig deep to understand what the hell they are.
yeah.
To me and you would just say, just some shit you got to deal with.
Right.
But like people have documented, like these are issues that are particular to men.
Right.
Yeah. It did sound kind of silly, but granted, there are problems. It is like one of those things that you just get so comfortable with the people. Everybody thinks it's okay. What you complaining about it? Y'all got it good. You know what I'm saying? Like you
Yeah,
don't get the right to complain about shit.
yeah. And then they say we live in a patriarchy, right? So then really, you really don't give a damn about a man's feelings.
Right.
So but I think my overall answer is men deal with rejection more, right? And we therefore have to deal with overcoming rejections and obstacles more, right? And
Mhm.
I think that builds us to be more resilient people, right? So we're just able to sustain and go through hard times better as an individual than a woman is, right? If
Right.
you don't ever get to flex that muscle of I got myself in some shit and I got to get out, then there's atrophy. So that's my opinion on that question.
Fair
Gotcha.
points.
Well, so I mean that's pretty much it for me, man. On this one, just I think like I say, I think this is all being this they use this here to get as many this here to get as many black women here as possible, and they don't see that it's happening, and they're willing participants in it because they just don't know. They get told from everyone that men are bad. All it takes is one bad breakup. I recently talked to a 22-year-old who was in a relationship since she was 14 years old, and the most alarming thing, which what if you hear me say this out of context, it's gonna sound crazy. But the most alarming thing about the whole thing was the words that came out of her mouth next. And I was like, well, what, you know, well, what do you plan on doing? I mean, you've been in that relationship. You just got out of that relationship. And I mean, that was 8 year long relationship since you were 14 years old. You're 22. What are you doing now? She's like, well, I'm looking. I'm just trying to love myself. Is what she said. And that was the most alarming thing because I knew that she was
Hold
really
on, you
just
went a little low, Jesse. Could you repeat it for me one time?
yeah. She said after that relationship, the period that she was in right now was just trying to find out how to love herself.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew red flags, alarm bells, talking points, nonsense that she was probably going to go down the bad path. Because why would the relationship stop you from loving yourself in the first place? What happened there? And so when they
Hmm.
started, when especially when ladies started talking, I love myself, I'm trying to find myself, and all these kind of things, it's vague ideas that just I don't think that ever turn out quite well. Um, but instead of doing hey, get in therapy because you just went through a serious loss. The show that we had a couple of months ago when we straight up asked ladies, what what's a harder breakup? A
Married.
relationship that
Hmm.
is a 10-year long and basically all I was doing is doubling the time. So if they said their longest relationship was 3 years, I would say, okay, well, what's harder that you think to get out of, a breakup, a 6 year, a 6 year relationship or a 3 year marriage, and they'll go, well, the 6 year relationship. The average black marriage only lasts for 5 years. She was in something for 8 years as a teenager. The attachment to that young man that she has a stronger bond than a woman married to her husband for 5 years. I guarantee it. So she just went through a
And he
divorce.
had to have been a room B guy.
Mm-hmm.
He had to have been, right?
Room B.
Yeah.
Well, he has to be room B because he couldn't do anything else. He didn't have the ability to
Yeah.
do anything else. And so women dating as a teenager doesn't benefit women at all. They talk about experience and all these things, but the things that come out of their mouths that trying to find myself, all these things, just mean that all that's happened is they went through a traumatic loss. Okay, the 8 year relationship, that's serious. That's dead serious. That's serious as any relationship out there.
Yeah.
All that young stuff out of there.
And,
Hmm.
He
Especially when you're
completely,
young and dumb.
right.
especially
And
whenever you, well, even when you're young and dumb, she had a high capacity for attachment.
you know
And
why I think that the numbers is so significant because age in general is a big component. It's a much larger factor for women than it is for men, right? That's why that group
Hmm.
of is so sad because at that point you don't really have the ability to go back, right? If you're a guy and you decide that you settle, you changing your lifestyle at 42, that's
You
still
can
an
do
option
that.
for you technically, and so
Hmm.
you haven't lost hope for these things if you just want these things now, right? You finally got it together or whatever. But as a woman, you can kind of feel like, well, now I'm gonna want it, right? You're on the same category as like an old broke man or something. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody really wants you around. and and I can see the problem. I can see how that could appear hopeless if you had
Absolutely.
this vision of what
Absolutely.
you wanted, and now you realize too late because
Hmm.
you explored these options that everybody told you had to explore. And that's the problem with it. I feel like uh I've met some women that I feel like this that lifestyle can work for, right? They wasn't nobody gonna want to be your husband no way. You know what I'm saying? You need to go out there and do your damn thing, and
Nobody want to be your husband, no
yeah,
way.
and it's perfect for you. You weren't gonna listen to nobody. So look, you go out there and do that, and you'll make it work. You didn't want kids. You definitely definitively had other purpose, other intentions in your life. Whatever, right? But there's a group of women who are following the instinct, right? Following what feels natural to them. And people are like, nah, you got to get out there and do this. You got to do that.
yeah,
You can wait.
yeah,
You can wait. You can wait. And then you start trying in your 30s. A little too late. You already done miss prime season, and now
Now you're sitting there like, where are the good men at?
yeah,
yeah,
and now it is late. You know what I'm saying? And so if you haven't accomplished those things that you would want a fulfillment, right? If you haven't had your family yet, or you still want all this stuff for the first time, you know, divorces and things like if you've been through that, maybe you've had your fill of it. You kind of over it now. You're in retirement, right? But if you
Mm-hmm.
ever, but if you never got to experience, I can see how I could put you in a real funk of a mindset. But like, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
Just keep going to work and
Yeah.
keep getting plaques on the wall?
I think
Yeah.
I think what your point at is indicative to this, and I think this is the worst part of us trying to raise boys and girls as if they're the same, right? We have to like if I have a daughter, I'm going to tell her like your most pivotal years are 18 to 28. Like what you do during that time of your life is really going to dictate a lot of your fulfillment, right? A lot of what your biology says you need to make you happy. You have to figure that shit out during that time. Whereas you're right, a man can wait till 45. I've even had story. I know people. I have a friend who talks about her grandfather all the time. He's passed away at this point, but she loved this guy, loves his socks, right? Now, obviously, he was probably 60, 70 by the time she was born or whatever. But I was saying, if you ran across a guy like him, if you ran across a 20-year-old version of him today, you wouldn't appreciate him because he doesn't have any of the things that you find valuable, right? At 20 something, he was probably putting his hands on women,
Yeah.
right? So, like, it is just unfortunate. But we have different values at different ages, and women really do. They really do need guidance to make sure that they make the best decisions that they can. You know, late teens, through their 20s. Whereas a young man, all he needs to really figure out or focus on is not getting a criminal record. You know,
Right.
like if you do that, it makes it infinitely harder forever.
Right.
But like
Absolutely.
it's just the goalposts are just different. I guess is what I'm saying.
Right. You
Yeah.
can play a slow game and progress towards something. Granted, there'll be a little less empathy for you on the route, but that's because you got all this time to get your shit together.
Mm-hmm.
And if you progress, if you got forward motion over time, right, you don't got to worry about that like that peak, right? If a woman takes 30 years to get some understanding and to grow into who she's supposed to be, you've already wasted a lot of time, you know.
Let's look
Mm-hmm.
at this real quick. Let's look at this real quick. So here's the happiest person in the country. Man, 39 years old,
Oh, they had
married.
that.
Yes, sir.
Oh wow.
Male, 39 years old, married. And here's the household income between
Hey,
150 and
I ain't gonna
200.
lie. Once my income went up, it was like, okay, I got a little bit of happiness in my back
I'm
pocket.
a little happier
Yeah,
now.
a little pep in the step, one might
Yeah.
say.
Mhm.
And in the senior management position, one young child at home, a wife who worked part time.
Hey, bro, I'm on my goddamn way.
Yeah,
I'm
you
on
Hell,
my
got it.
goddamn
Cause
way.
I got
hell,
another check box or so.
so
Yeah.
you can be a man, have a break, and you can hit 35 working a job, get a promotion, get married, and then have one kid, and hey, honey, you don't have to work all that much, and then you will be in the happiest position at
Interesting.
39. But
Spoon.
a
Another
woman,
reason to go ahead and get married.
yeah, you're right. And but another thing, but a woman could not wait till the most. I'm not
Wow.
gonna say this is the vast majority cannot say, hey, I'm gonna wait till 35,
And I'm
get
gonna go get the
married,
rest of
and
these.
then
Yeah.
have a kid,
Mm-hmm.
and then work part time, or even
Yeah.
work
It's
full
not even
time.
possible.
Yeah,
Yeah, because at that point you
That's
got
not even. Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
you locked
So
in somewhere.
I think that article right there is the greatest proof, or it's the greatest counter argument to we are equal, or we are the same, or we should be raising and treating the same because it's
Right.
different. A
Yeah.
39-year-old man and a 39-year-old woman are treated drastically different in the
Right.
dating market, in the working market, right? Like
and the
everything is
part
different.
and they have to be. They have to
Yeah.
be. And they have to be. And why do they have to be? Because a woman who is they're looking for different things.
Yeah.
So they want different things. So they have to be treated differently. That's
Yeah.
like going to get fuel and you drive a diesel. Well, you can't treat it like you're gonna treat your
Well,
regular athletic
you
car,
be coming up with some world class analogies.
right?
Right.
So you
I
got
like
to
it.
put diesel in it. So like, well, why do they have to be treated differently? Well, why don't you go ahead over there? Go ahead and put some unleaded in your
And see
diesel. I
what
just want to
happens.
see what happens. I'm gonna
Hey,
follow
Spoon
you.
look like he did it before.
I'm gonna follow you for a mile and let me see. But it has to be. But
Right.
being different doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean it's
Yeah.
Right.
bad, right?
I made a post the other day. I said I'm sure that if a cat, I'm sure cats could bark if they tried hard enough, right? And but my point was that just because you can do something, right? And I like because there's this wave of like you can do anything that so and so can do, right? It's like hey, everybody can do anything that any other person can do,
Mm-hmm.
and that's cool that it exists. It's cool that that's a thing that you got the option. Like you know what I'm saying? That's fair. If it so compels you, if it's so on your heart, go do whatever you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
But just because you can do something does not mean that you should do that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And just because you can go out there and be that type of woman, that type of person, that type of guy, you can be a nigga. Don't gotta do nothing. You can. There's the option exists to where there are women who will take care of you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
If that's what you so desire. I don't think it's a good idea,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm sure you can work out a way where you can have a baby. They're working on that, right? I don't think it's a good idea.
You know what's funny? This reminds me of the conversation. We go out and do the street interviews,
Mhm.
and I meet, we meet women, and I'll just tell them that, like, I tell them straight up, we should not value men who don't work hard at the same rate that we value productive men, right? And it goes back to the whole equality thing, and well, they'll say something like, well, yeah, society appreciates women, but we kind of shit on men, and I'm like, that's the way it's supposed to be. Imagine
Right.
the more imagine we had a society of men who were raised where if they sit around and do nothing, the more they did nothing, the more the world loved them, the more praise and admiration that they got.
I wouldn't do
Oh
shit.
boy, we'd have a terrible society. And then imagine we're
Horrible.
criticizing and we're disrespecting men who are productive out here building infrastructure and civilizing the world. They'd stop. They'd never do it. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
we have to set up rewards and incentives to get people to do the things that are best for society. And again, if I were a woman, bro, I tell all my friends, like, I'm not out here trying to compete with nobody. I'm trying to find someone to take care of me, and I take care of the home.
And
That's
you know
how I
Right.
what?
maximize my return on investment.
Yeah.
It's not getting out here and trying to do exactly what men do.
And you know
Right.
what?
Don't go get a career that you don't want. Like if you don't want to go to work every day, don't even do that shit.
Don't
Like
go get a degree
yeah,
that
yeah.
Yeah.
makes you
Just
work every day.
to be
Yeah.
doing it. Right. If you are super passionate about this thing and you want to learn how to do it, you're gonna change the world because you want a marine biology degree and you're gonna save the whales and you're gonna do that for the rest of your life. Cool, right? That's whatever. But just because you just going out getting random psychology degrees, you just wanted to go to college and now that you finished, you don't know what to do but keep going back and keep going back
Boy,
and just because
vicious cycle.
And
man, and you don't even like it. You don't even like going to work. You hate the idea of work. Like
and one point that I want to make, I think that the biggest thing from this article, um, this one right here, is the happiest men, the happiest workers. Right, the happiest men, and most men work. The happiest men have wives who work part time. That means that the happiest men are men who are productive and take the pressure off of their women. Those are the happiest men. Men
Oh, I
want
like that. Are
men
productive and take the pressure off of their women. I
men
like that.
men want to do it. This is what men want to do, and the happiest men are the men who pull it off. So the
Yeah,
lie running around it, you can't depend on no man, you can't do this, you can't do that. If you just look at this, that it men want to, and the happiest men
bro, that is
achieve the
so
goal.
interesting to me, bro.
Right?
To say, like, I imagine I'm having a conversation with a woman and she says, "Oh, there ain't no good men or whatever," and I say, "No, man. The happiest men are the ones who are productive and are taking the workload off of their wife."
Yeah,
So
making it
it
up.
really has to be the win that you're picking.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. And the sugar baby, not the sugar babies, but the Pookies and Ray Rays
throwaways.
that we're gonna be releasing. That one shows that perfectly. It shows it
Yeah,
perfectly. But let's go ahead and let's wrap this one up,
yeah, for
so we
sure.
don't get it too long. That one, I mean, it's like I say, they are pushing that the whole goal is to get as many black women into that demographic, the unhappiest profile, and focusing on your career, and those things get you there. I'm not saying that is exactly what happened with this young lady, but she
But
she
we know where
spoke
she
on.
got the ideology from.
We
You
know
know,
where
Mm-hmm.
she
she got
didn't
it
come
from.
out the womb thinking I want to be a lawyer.
Yeah, right.
She
But
probably did come out the womb thinking I would love to be the prettiest woman in the world.
absolutely,
Mm-hmm.
That's
and
probably realistic.
yeah, but it's yeah, it was what happened, what comes after success, what
Hmm.
is there, what do you do if you are successful, if you do well in your career, if you hit it at 25, you hear like people Kevin Samuels talk to, the ladies that we talk to, they're always talking about they're going to start this business that one, and then they're going to retire at 30. Then what are you going to do for the next
Hmm.
40
Yeah.
years, 45, 50 years? You're just going to sit there and look at your money, Scrooge McDuck style. What comes after that? That's where
Hmm.
family comes in, right? That's where people come
Yeah.
in. People are the most important, and that's
Yeah.
all I got.
Yeah. And
All right.
I imagine if you're in a world like that, man, it's hard to ever put yourself in a position to have a family, right? You kind of feel like there's no turning back. Now, what you gonna do if you're gonna lose all your endorsements? You ain't gonna be pretty no more. You know what I'm saying? It's like those pressures of you can't be pregnant, right? I feel like it took Rihanna a long time. She was pregnant, by the way, and
We need to talk
Yeah.
about that too, because that
I,
was not the best
Of
way.
all the
That was
people she
that
could
was
have picked, I'm like,
all right. Well, we got the next
yeah.
topic,
Next
but let's
topic. Next
yeah,
topic.
next
Next
topic,
topic.
next topic.
uh,
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey guys, thanks for tuning in with us again. Make sure to leave a comment, join in on the discussion. What did we get right? What did we get wrong? What did we miss? Let us know, and we'll see you next time.
Drop a
all right,
comment below,
guys.
niggas. Yes, sir.